Like all of them.
All of them.
All right, we're live now, and with the right,
we've been live for a few minutes because I'm watching us.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
There you
great.
go.
Well, welcome to Into the Lab. This is season 2, episode 22. We're live apparently, so we're excited to be joining you guys tonight. If you're joining us, we appreciate y'all greatly, as I'm in the final episode in the home studio, or what would appear to be an empty room in San Antonio, Texas. I am your host, Ernest Silva, your favorite host, hopefully, at Ducky, future PhD, but more importantly, go follow at Into the Lab Pod. That's where you see most of my interactions, as well as all of the stuff you're going to hear tonight. Very excited to be joining you. This is brought to us by the mothership Blue Collar Media Group, www.bluecollarmg.com. That's where you can find all of our great content, as well as the guys that are on here right now, as well as the new BCMG stream team. If you haven't been hearing about it, you've been living under a rock, because it's the newest and greatest thing of 2021. Go catch our streamers on Twitch, as well as Facebook gaming pages. You can catch them on tonight's feed, as I will be featuring that sometime during tonight's feed and tweeting that out, where you can find all those wonderful streamers and their newest debut video. So excited to be talking about that today, as well as some NBA hoops analysis and NFL analysis. We have some huge news to dissect, as well as some COVID news to dissect, and some NBA pick'em to help you fill up that wallet before the weekend. We're excited to get right into it. Brought to us by Thrive Fantasy, www.thrivefantasy.com. Use the promo code BCMG, get a discount today and some additional add-ons. Announcer, bring us in right. All right, our temporary co-host of the week, the man that's in Bali, Indonesia, at Dre2124, Dre Rogers.
Yo, what up? Such an honor to be a co-host again. I think it's my third time. Unfortunately, I won't get my intro video because of this, but I'm ready, and thanks, Ernest. I'll do better this time.
Absolutely, Dre. I hope you stay with us the entire time. Let's talk about the man that has the model all the way from Washington, D.C. at the Source Podcast, Joe Goddard.
How you doing, guys? It's been a good week. Just finished recording an episode with Dan Lust at Sports Law Lust, which drops tomorrow. So I've been very busy, but I can't wait to talk some, just basic sports with you guys. Not breaking down anything too complex. Super excited, especially for the NBA pick'em.
Very excited to have you on. Excited again also to bring back another gentleman that you've seen on this podcast, the man from Frostbite Sports. I did give him a couple of shout outs on the Ed Robinson show. Take a listen to that later. But at Frostbite Pod, Jet Folk.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Recently strapped the skates back on and hit the ice for the first time in a couple of years. And I've got to say, I haven't been that sore in a long time, but it was good to be out there. So, yeah, like I said, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Very excited to have you on, Jet. I told you I'd give you a couple of shouts on the Ed Robinson show. We're talking Colts NFL players that made the Pro Bowl. And, I mean, I just couldn't get enough of some of the offensive linemen that were on there and their stats. And I was like, man, Jet used to talk about these guys. He's just blow it off. But, yeah, these guys are fantastic. And so,
unreal.
Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. We're talking Phillip Rivers, so just all about you. All right, a man who's celebrating the return of Jason Witten, at least for one day, the co-captain of the BCMG stream team over there celebrating in Stillwater, at least what he can, until Cade Cunningham comes back, at ddog_1123, Davis Cordova.
He will be back Saturday against Arkansas. I will be at that game. I just want to take a moment to remember the 10, 20 years ago today, plane crash in Colorado. 10 of the Oklahoma State basketball members died that day. So just a quick shout out. Remember the 10.
Absolutely. Thank you for that shout out, Davis. And of course, we remember also Kobe Bryant. Shout out to the legend right there. I know Joe was telling me not to go into it. We aren't going to go into it, but we do want to give a shout out because the man is a legend. Let's wrap up things with the announcers right here. The man, the myth, the legend, the man behind BCMG himself from the Puckleheads podcast and co-founder of Blue Collar Media Group, Just Paul.
What's going on, fellas? Looking to talk a little NBA today. Get ready for the Super Bowl next week. So just ready to do it.
Beautiful, beautiful. We have a 2-round segment for you guys today. It's going to be fun. We're not going to be taking up all your time. I'm in move week, so I'm in move hell week, to be completely honest with you. I've got a tired wife. I've got a crying baby that's going to sleep, and I've got me that's just been packing and tired working all week. So we are going to have some fun and hopefully not be too loud. But Round one is going to be full of news and analysis from the NFL playoffs, some reacts, talking about some major news coming out. We're not going to talk Tom Brady Sr. like major media outlets like to talk about. Let's just leave that for Steve on his Twitter account. Shout out to Steve Reisner, the general. But announcer, ring round one, and let's get the day started off. All right, that's the bell. And if you're watching, you didn't hear it, that means you haven't been watching very much, because you'll hear it on the podcast that we'll feature later on, which is on Friday morning. But let's talk NFL playoffs. We were very hyped about the Green Bay Packers having a home game there at Lambeau Field. We had a lot of analysis and a lot of swing analysis going towards the Packers. But we have the question, right? Did Aaron Rodgers choke in the NFC Championship game? I'm going to start with our Packers analyst himself, Dre Rogers. Dre, take the floor. What happened at Lambeau Field?
You know what? It was about 5:30 in the a.m. and I was pretty wide awake. And that third down play. I mean, you could clearly see the lane was right there. Rodgers probably easily could have walked that in, and I don't know. I guess he did choke, because I don't know, that seemed something pretty easy for him to do. That would have gotten that touchdown instead of that stupid fourth down field goal call. But yeah, he missed a couple of wide open throws as well. He had there was a crucial third down play, and he had Lazard wide open, and he instead threw it to MVS. So that's also something that was out there. And I cannot say the whole blame goes to Rodgers, because Davante Adams dropped a touchdown, and then maybe the St. Brown 2-point play. And let's not get started with the refs, but overall, yeah, I guess you could say he was not the Aaron Rodgers MVP in the times he needed to be the Aaron Rodgers MVP. So that's my insider.
Now, Dre, there were a couple of times there where I thought, okay, Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball back. He's only down 5. He's going to come back and score. It's going to be put the pressure right back on Brady. Then they punt. Brady doesn't drive down the field. They actually punt it back. I thought, okay, here it is. This is the part where Aaron Rodgers does Aaron Rodgers things. Had to punt again. I think he threw a pick there at one point. But, Joe, the model said that the Packers were the right money line pick for this game. Talk to us a little bit about the stats behind the game. Like, where was it starting to teeter? Was it right from the beginning because the Bucs came out hot?
So, full disclosure, right? The money line pick was the Packers. The spread pick was the Patriots. Oh, I see Brady, and I think Patriots still was the Bucs plus 3.5. And we thought it was going to be a close game, but as you look at as the game progresses, Brady doesn't ever throw 3 interceptions in a game. As far as I know, he's never done that before. I know that some of those were picked because they were tipped, but he's never thrown 3 interceptions in a game in the playoffs ever. And that should have led to the Packers winning the game. 2 things that cost the Packers this game were Matt LaFleur and St. Brown dropping the 2-point conversion. Aaron Rodgers not running the ball in has been kind of the talking point. Why didn't he try to run in from 3rd and 10 from the 10-yard line? He had that wide open corner. If you look at the actual video on the other side, which is a silent video, you can only get it through All 22 or NFL 22. There's actually 2 linebackers in the back of the end zone who would have been between Aaron Rodgers and the goal line, which would have had like 4th and 4 away from the end zone. And he had Davante Adams where he thought he was open. So actually that's the right call to throw the ball, not run the ball. But statistically, Matt LaFleur cost the Packers this game by not going for it on 4th down, and taking the field goal to be down 5. That cost him 4 percentage points on the win index. If you look at Ben Baldwin on Twitter, I don't know if you guys know him. I know somebody who's listening would know him. He's the Athletic Seattle reporter who's developed an index on whether or not you should go for it or whether or not you should punt or take a field goal. And he predicted that it would cost them 7 percentage points on chance to win by kicking the field goal, and they did it anyway. So LaFleur cost them this game, not Aaron Rodgers. And it's extremely unfortunate because now I have to watch Tom Brady win another Super Bowl not wearing my team's colors.
You can just drink throughout the game like I will, so you don't really have to watch it.
I do think we got a rooster in the background there. Is that you, Dre?
Yeah.
Yeah, who else?
Is that in the restaurant?
Live.
Yeah, they're on
fresh
the street.
fresh chicken.
Fresh chicken.
Fresh chicken.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right.
Let me ask y'all, when you saw the Bucks come out strong. This brought to you by Golden Chick, by the way, this take. What was, and Davis, Jet, Paul, you guys chime in here. I mean, did you guys see right from the beginning, hey, Bucks have control of this momentum, I don't see that coming back? Or did you say this feels like a Rodgers comeback type of game? When did that leave y'all's heads?
For me, it was when I saw the Bucks pass rush get home. That's when I knew that it wasn't going to just be Rodgers going up and down the field, that they were going to actually have to work for this. And I'll be honest with you, when Brady threw up ball on the blitz, right there, I thought it was going to change right there. I thought that's the pick that broke the camel's back, but it didn't. That defense showed up. I mean, they're doing it without their two starting safeties. And, at the end of the day, that pass rush getting home without Bakhtiari there was the difference in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers choked because, I mean, he played well enough for them to win. It was just like Dre said, he didn't make the plays when the MVP has to make the plays.
Look at the stats. If you compare the quarterback stats, you'd think the Packers won. Aaron Rodgers had a better day than Tom Brady. But then you go more in depth and you look at the sacks. Aaron Rodgers got sacked 5 times compared to Tom Brady getting sacked once. They really missed Bakhtiari, but I will say, I'm going to come out and say it. I back up Matt LaFleur taking that field goal. And here's why. Here's why. Job, I want to know the percentage points missed if they went for it and missed it. How much would they lose then?
Let me pull it up.
Perfect.
Because if Matt LaFleur essentially had 4 timeouts and you never take Tom Brady to overtime, you're not going to win in overtime to Tom Brady. And if you take that field goal and you get the ball back, you can drive down the field and win.
Hey,
in
Davis,
the fourth
my
quarter.
thing is don't give the ball back to Tom Brady at all. Like,
Okay.
tie game or not, don't give him the ball back. I'd rather take it on a coin flip than to give it back to him and expect us to stop him.
So
It would have been a repeat. Mm-hmm.
Those statistics, by the way, are 4%. So there's a 3% difference in win percentage based on whether or not you go for it there or not.
Yeah, but you have to think about it. If they went for it and missed it, they probably would have missed out on that 2-minute
Warning.
2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
Yeah.
So that's essentially like a missed time out there. I agreed with LaFleur when he went for it.
I can see that side. The only thing I've heard from everything so far is I agree with Dre, right? Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers were chickens. That's all I hear the entire time. He didn't run. He didn't.
Rodgers
scramble.
had nothing to do with the call.
I think he should have scrambled.
Upset about
I
the call, in
think
fact.
he should have scrambled and gotten 7 yards, and it's 4th and 3.
Yeah, made it
4th and
impossible.
goal on the 3-yard line, and you have a chance to punch it in.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I do agree with Matt LaFleur taking the chance just because you missed 3 times in a row on first goal, second goal, and third and goal. You missed it on the pass.
A drop ball by Devontae Adams.
It was.
And who never does
So
that.
now here's the thing: do you not throw the ball to Devontae Adams there? Because
No,
you know,
do.
Davis, like you said, I mean, you agree with kicking the field goal there. What's the difference between losing by 5 and losing by 8?
True.
Right? If there's no difference there except that if you score there, the whole game is different.
Yeah, but what
If you
LaFleur
don't
is
score the field
thinking
goal there, nothing's
is,
different.
regardless, the defense has to get a stop either way.
The
So
defense
he's
got 3
thinking,
stops
I
in a
will
row.
I will take my points, and if we can get the stop, we have the chance to win.
Exactly. It's either
but-
you have the chance to
Alright.
tie or the chance to win.
But
I
if
have the
you
chance
go
to
for the
win.
tie,
You
you
go
can
for the tie.
manipulate the clock.
If you went for the tie, you're giving Brady the ball with 2 minutes left.
You can manipulate the clock.
And Brady threw 3 interceptions in a row. In 3 possessions, he threw 3 interceptions, which has never happened in his career before.
And you're at home.
Exactly. It's never happened.
It was a
Yeah.
Don't forget
I
he
couldn't
wasn't-
say that
No, no,
he would throw another interception, but
I mean, to me, when I got the goal anyway, it's 4 downs. So I'm
It's
going to
4
run
downs,
it.
exactly.
I'm going to run it at least once in there somewhere.
Also,
Like,
can we?
I think the play calling was suspect. He should have
Well,
run it twice at least in that.
Jones
retrospect, though, you
Jones
have Aaron
going down
Rodgers.
changed the entire game too.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It did, but I
Agreed.
mean,
Yeah.
it's similar to what happened
Teams
in the
can
Bills
still-
game. Similar to what happened in the Bills game. They got all the way to the 10 with running the football and short passes, and then they got away from that in the red zone. If they can't stop the run the football.
Kobe's also playing on a broken leg. Well, let's that's a good segue there, Job. I think we're split 3-3 on that. Yeah, go ahead, Dre. Final word.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously deleted the play from my mind already, but let's not forget that the other coach did go for it on 4th down. He did
You did.
trust his quarterback, and look what happened to end the half. You know, they threw that 40-yard touchdown pass or whatever it was, and
Scotty Miller.
One
Oh,
final.
That's right.
Don't even get
Oh,
me
man.
started on Kevin King. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
What a
Yeah.
terrible
Yeah.
decision
Yeah.
by him. Terrible.
One final thought is if you're gonna call that passing interference on
Wow.
the Packers,
gotta
that was
call it
not
the other
passing
way, too.
interference. That was holding. If anything, he was just grabbing the jersey. He didn't push him. That was a flop. He learned that from Marcus Smart.
He did
Then
indeed.
that PI for the interception should have been called at the end of the half. That completely
I don't even
changed
want
the
to get
game.
into that. I don't even want to get into that official because if I was Matt LaFleur, I would have had $250,000 in fines.
Exactly.
Easily.
You've probably been arrested.
Oh, I would have definitely called a
honest.
timeout.
Let's
Had
just
that
be
guy
honest.
come over.
Let's end on that. Let's talk something else that was fuming. Bills Mafia, right? Bills Mafia came up short in their AFC Championship game, and Chiefs Kingdom continues on. We'll talk about Chiefs in just a second, as we should. Bills Mafia, though, Stephon Diggs stayed on the field to watch the championship ceremony. Kudos to him, as he wanted to pay tribute, but say, I want to be there. Stephon Diggs definitely stepped up this season. I gave you guys an option. Tell me, in how many years do we expect to see the Bills back in the AFC Championship? I'll go around the room. I'll start with you, Davis.
Oh, come back to me.
No, Davis, you're first.
It won't be next year. I could just tell you that. They need to
Oh.
develop a pass rush and a running back. So give them 2 years.
All right, Davis is 2 years. Give the AFC runner-ups 2 years. Joe,
Just remember, hold on. Just remember that I'm still temporary Bills Mafia. So
your heart's in it. All right. Joe, talk to us.
They're going to be back there next year, and the main reason why isn't Josh Allen. It's not Stephon Diggs. It's Sean McDermott. I don't think he called a great game against the Chiefs this weekend, but his comments after the fact were phenomenal. I don't know if anyone saw them, but he talked about what you can take into next year, and it wasn't, oh, we were this close, we need a running back or we need a pass rush. It was, we were this close, everybody needs to be a little bit better, and we're going to go develop those pieces. I think Zach Moss is a total beast. I think, when he does come back, there's your running back of the future. And the other piece that they need is a defensive pass rush. They need a big man up front there to stop the run. They can get that in the draft. So I think they'll be there next year. And I think this might be the Bills AFC East for the next 5 or 6 years, unless Tua is not the quarterback for the Dolphins. And we'll get to that, I'm sure, at some point.
Ooh,
Hey,
we're definitely getting to quarterbacks in a minute. Yeah,
speaking
Davis.
of that defensive back, Joseph Osai from the Longhorns, maybe.
Maybe. Jet, you're way too quiet for my liking. Talk to me. Where's Bill Mafia? Are they going to be back next year? 5 years? 10 years?
I'll tell you this much. It has to be next year because I love the Brandon Staley hiring for the LA Chargers, and I have been shooting off about Justin Herbert all year long. They're only going to get better. We don't know who the Colts are bringing in. Maybe they're instantly in it next year. You don't know. Cleveland's getting better every single year. I mean, the Bills, they have to take the next step in their development. And I know it's hard to develop off of 13-3, but I'm just saying their development towards beating a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, because if they can't do it soon, teams are going to start catching up.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. There's so many teams with young talent that are going to be coming up that you have to watch your back for. And who knows what the Patriots are even going to look like with all of their fluidity with their draft picks and their young guys on the team. Luckily, we don't have Steve to be telling us that we're crazy for talking Bills. So let's take advantage of it. Just Paul, what do you feel about the Bills Mafia? Back next year?
No, I feel like you guys do. There's just way too many contenders in the AFC right now. I like the Bills. I like what they do. But, there's just, Stafford can swing the balance of power to some of those teams. As long as Mahomes is healthy, the Chiefs are a juggernaut, like he said. The Chargers are getting Derwin James back. That's a big piece of that defense, plus Herbert. Deshaun Watson, does he go to Miami? Or does he go to New England or to the Jets? That makes that division a whole lot more interesting if, stuff goes your way. And a lot of stuff went the Bills' ways this year. Like, that's how it goes. And, I'm just not ready to say that team is ready to go back and compete against the Chiefs again.
I will say Sean McDermott cannot play like a pansy in the biggest games. He did it against the Texans last year, and he did it against the Chiefs. You cannot beat the Chiefs on field goals.
No, you can't. You can't go to the red zone 3 times and get 1 touchdown. That's another.
To quote the most famous saying we probably have in our postseason history, you play to win the game, right? Yep. You play to win the game. Dre, your thoughts? Bills Mafia.
So actually, updating all you people out there who are listening to our show today, the reason why Steve's not Mr. Steve is not on the show today is because, like I predicted at the beginning of the year, he was going to be a full Bills Mafia mode. So he obviously jumped through a table. He sustained a couple of injuries, and that's why he's not here today. So just updating you all on that. Here we go. Just so you're aware why he's not here today.
We wish him the best.
But anyway, I guess, like everybody has already said, depends on who the Colts get at quarterback. I do like the Chargers a lot, but if the Bills make some moves in the draft and free agency, I think they're the other team to beat besides the Chiefs. So I think they will definitely make it back. I don't know. They might even make the run maybe not Super Bowl 4 years in a row, but maybe a couple years in a row to the AFC Championship. I think that's a very solid team, and they've got some young guys, they've got some veterans. They could be right up there easily next couple years. So
one thing that I kind of agree with Dre there as well is not only are they getting better, I think the Chiefs are set to take a massive step back because they can't pay everybody this year. Everybody's a free agent this year, and they just gave their quarterback $500 million. So there's no way they're bringing back the same offense. So,
but that deal was super team friendly.
It was, but even without team friendly, they still have to pay Tyreek, Kelsey.
They're already signed. Both of them dudes are already signed.
They're free agents after next season. So it won't be 5 years before the Bills are back, and it'll be 2 years. It's going to be the Bills and the Browns for the next half a decade.
Those Browns. You heard it here first. Go invest stock into the Browns.
Don't forget about the Bengals. Don't forget about the Bengals.
Joe Money. Money.
There's a lot. There's a lot of teams coming.
Don't sleep on Burrow.
Honestly, the Bills have about a 3-year window, I think, to really kind of sign back the players, key players that they have, and fill up some holes and be able to make a run with Josh Allen. Because I think we all agree Josh Allen is a stud. The guy can play the position. He's going to be a Pro Bowler for the next coming years, unless you think there's a Lamar Jackson fallback. Yeah. I don't see it, but I think he's.
Ernest, real quick, shout out to Harrison, who said the Bills were frauds. Do you agree with that, real quick?
They're not frauds.
Okay.
They're not frauds.
They're not frauds.
They've been to the playoffs since 1995, if I'm not mistaken, and they just went to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, hey, speaking of, go check out the Frostbite because he actually does give a compelling point. but just shout out Harrison. So
Yeah. So the Chiefs, in my opinion, are going to be the topic of conversation. I give the Bills another 3-year window to make the AFC Championship, maybe the Super Bowl, and then you're going to start seeing key pieces leave for money, and that's when it starts going downhill. That's why it's hard to keep a dynasty together, which the Chiefs are going to face soon, which Job gave that little timeline there of the next 2 years. But let's talk about Chiefs Kingdom. Kansas City 25-1 in their last 26 games. They seem to be pretty much unstoppable. Nobody has figured out the scheme or fit except for the Las Vegas Raiders. Knock if you're with me. I'm just kidding. So basically, the Chiefs are going up against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Guys, I think the writing's here on the wall. If the Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls, how close are we to calling this a dynasty, or are you already there? So I'll start this one off with Frostbite Jet.
I've always been under the assumption that you got to win 3 out of like 4 years, something like that. That's when I start looking at it as a dynasty. But they're well on their way, and I think that Mahomes has a massive opportunity here to do something even more special than just a dynasty. I don't think anybody in their right mind thought that somebody would have a chance to catch Tom Brady in anything by the time he's done. But if Patrick Mahomes goes back-to-back Super Bowl victories, assuming he gets Super Bowl MVP and beats Tom Brady in a Super Bowl at this young of an age, he's got a great chance to go the rest of his career and try to catch the GOAT. Now, on the flip side of that, if Brady wins this game, I think you lock it in, it's over, Tom's the GOAT, and there'd be no debate ever. So yeah, I'm excited for this just for that reason alone.
I of course, from the outside in, I'm like, I really don't have a dog in the fight, but I'm excited for the storylines, right? You have the up and coming chaser, fantastic talent. You have the guy at the end, like, hey guys, here's my last hurrah. And I'll be honest, this could be Tom Brady's last appearance that we see in a big postseason run. So I want to see him go out like right on top.
Wow.
I do. I want to see it.
You say that with Steve not on the show, so
I was saving
definitely.
a Brady take for Steve, but Steve's not here. It actually came from somebody that I know. They sent me a thing saying that, if you're not rooting for Brady and you're a Patriots fan, then at this point you're not over your high school ex either. I wanted to see Steve's reaction to that live, but he's sleeping, so I can't do that.
I can't comment on being upset with exes, so I'm going to disregard that statement as I have my own situation happening. But we won't talk about the beard till later. Just Paul, Chiefs Kingdom thinks they're a dynasty already, because Chiefs fans should think they're a dynasty already. If you don't, you're not hyping your own team. But to you, if they win back-to-back, 26-1 the last 27 games, and Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things, are they a dynasty?
No, I'm with Jed. It's 3 out of 4. That's the standard. 3 out of 4 is the standard. I'm pumped for the Super Bowl. It could be a passing of the torch. Honestly, you could look back in 20 years and say, well, there's the moment that Patrick Mahomes became the star of the league. I'm a huge fan of Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid deserves back-to-back Super Bowls. That's why I'll be rooting for the Chiefs, because Andy got there so many times and was this pariah around the league saying he couldn't win the big one and this and that. And the guy puts together game plans that are ridiculously good offensively. It's going to be a great game, and the Chiefs have problems with I've seen a couple Chiefs fans on there today saying blocking doesn't matter. I heard that today. Exact quote from a Chiefs fan.
Oh,
well, buddy, it matters, because if you watch the NFC Championship game, you better get a body on those two guys immediately. So that could be big problems for the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, losing Fisher definitely hurts. I agree.
Yeah.
Does anybody on here actually think that they are a dynasty yet? Let me ask that question. Okay, so Davis is on that side. Okay, Davis, talk to us. Why are they a dynasty?
Hold on, question. So from 2015 to 2019, does everyone agree the Patriots were a dynasty?
2015 to 2019.
How many Super Bowls was that?
3.
Yeah.
Then yes.
Yes,
three out of 5.
There's a caveat there, though. There's a caveat there.
Yeah, because they
were dominant for so long, that the dynasty. If you started in 2015, I would say probably no. But
go back to like
before.
the 49ers one and the Steelers one and the Cowboys one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that those are the traditional dynasties.
But we're not going to have those anymore in the NFL. Like, let's just be honest.
We just
we're
had
never gonna
20
see
years
that.
of them.
What do you mean? We just finished a 20-year run in New England.
We just had 20 years of them.
I've never seen my team not make the playoffs until this year. Like,
Okay, then
that's a
if
dynasty.
it's just making the playoffs, then a lot of teams are a dynasty.
Okay, well, let's put it this way: they lost the AFC Championship once. Brady went to the Super Bowl 10 out of 20 years in his career.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying the Chiefs were a D Ford offsides away from making the Super Bowl and probably beating the Rams. Let's just be honest; they scored 3 points, and maybe doing a repeat, but
I see where you're coming from.
Okay, so you're saying AFC Championship loss, Super Bowl win, Super Bowl appearance.
Exactly.
Right.
You're saying
And you
that's
still have
enough
Tyreek, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes for
the next
another
2
year.
years.
I
Okay,
think
so
what
if
you
they
really
win,
sold me on
then
though
you're
is
saying
I
they
do
can never
agree
win.
that they would have killed the Rams. I really like. I
Exactly.
see you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, whoever came out of the AFC was going to win that game.
So I think they're a dynasty right now because they have Patrick Mahomes forever for his whole career pretty much. And they can just keep Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and just use like the McCole Hardmans that come into the league every year. Take them second round, third round when they have those picks. And I mean, you're golden. You don't really need a defense when you could score 50 points a game. So
It's when Andy Reid retires. That's the end of this dynasty.
I also have a theory.
Here's the theory. Here we
Eric
go.
Bieniemy is just telling teams to not hire him so he can just take over for Andy Reid.
Has to be it.
I can't
see that.
figure out any other reason why that guy hasn't got a job.
Exactly.
I'll put it that way.
And
I could agree with that. He
I
might
would
want
say,
a
like,
different job that's open though.
The coaching tree of Andy Reid hasn't done well. That's what they're putting out there right now, or his interviewing skills. But I think he wants the Chiefs job. So
I think his the Andy Reid coaching tree has done pretty well. If you look at
Right.
the AFC side, that every team that was in the AFC side, they all have an Andy Reid connection.
Yeah.
And if the enemy wanted a job, he could have taken the Chargers job. I don't doubt it at all.
Andy Reid making Patrick Mahomes or Patrick Mahomes making Andy Reid?
Both.
They complement each other.
If
Neither.
If Mahomes went to another team, would the Chiefs not make the playoffs like the Patriots?
No. I think Andy Reid.
Depends. Does he have Alex Smith?
Yeah.
No, he has Cam Newton.
Oh God.
No.
Yeah, they don't make the playoffs. All right, let's transition from there.
I don't know.
Let's talk about missing things. I asked the guys as we switch to NBA. Before we do that, I missed a segment here. We wanted to talk NFL quarterback. So for those of you tuning in and your quarterback is somewhere out in the midst or you don't know who's going to be under center, let's talk the quarterback carousel of the NFL. We have the wonderful prediction that there are going to be 18 new quarterback spots for the NFL, right? And so I'm going to let you guys lead this segment. I want to hear the debate and start us off. Jet, name me the guaranteed quarterback changes in the NFL because I know your Colts are one of them. Keep it going.
Guaranteed. I think the
We'll be here
Jets
for
aren't
2
necessarily a
hours.
guarantee, but the Patriots, they're a guarantee. I think Tua is probably staying in Miami. Pittsburgh's up in the air unless Ben's coming back. Baltimore, you got your guy. I mean, you got to just keep rolling with Lamar. Cleveland's got their guy. Cincy's got their guy. Tennessee's got their guy. Colts are looking for a guy. Texans are probably moving Watson, so that's up in the air. Jacksonville's getting Trevor Lawrence. Kansas City's got their guy. Raiders probably are still going Carr, I would assume.
I don't know.
Mariota.
Or Mariota. Either way, they got their guy.
New sheriff.
Chargers got their guy. Broncos are probably involved with a trade to get Deshaun Watson. That's my prediction. Washington could probably use a guy, I would assume. Giants, I mean, Jones, I guess.
You mean Puppy boy.
Dak's back in Dallas. I'm not buying that hype of him leaving. Philly fired Peterson because they're keeping Wentz. Green Bay Packers got their guy. Let's put that to bed right now. I think the Bears are still too embarrassed about the Trubisky pick that they're going to try to run it back one more time.
Embarrassed. I see what you did there.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they don't want to admit they're wrong, so they're just going to keep putting it out there. Like,
Take it easy,
Minnie's
Dre. Take it
Minnie's
easy.
got Cousins. Detroit is moving on from Stafford. We already know where he's going. Saints, Saints. I don't know. I mean, probably Jameis. I guess I would assume Breeze is dead, so probably Jameis. Tampa. I think Brady's coming back. Panthers. I think you roll Teddy again.
That could be
Vulcans.
one.
You mean MVP
I think you
Jay
draft
Walker?
somebody. I think you draft somebody in
Well,
Carolina.
I'm just saying for next year, he's going to start. Like, you're not going to throw some guy into the fire. Falcons, you're paying way too much money. Matt Ryan's there.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
boys. That's just is what it
That's
is.
sad.
Seahawks got their guy. Rams, unless they make a trade, it's Goff again. Cardinals got their guy. And then the Niners are in the market.
Give me
Yeah,
Wolford
that's-
instead, bro.
That was a lot. And for my count, I have 15 quarterback changes. I could be wrong here. Maybe I just missed a few.
I think I
Um,
said like 5.
Hey, I'll just say this: there's a potential for like 3/4 of the league to make a trade. As
There's
Dre
always
says, Trevor Lawrence
potential. I
will be a
mean,
bust.
It's
so.
the same story every offseason.
How many rookies starting next year? Who we got, guys? How many rookies? Trevor Lawrence for sure.
The
Trevor
first
Lawrence,
game,
Mac
the first
Jones.
game.
First game of the season.
Oh,
Starting.
just Trevor Lawrence.
That's it.
Justin,
Yeah.
Justin
I think-
Fields, maybe?
I think
No.
Mac Jones has the potential if he
Depends on
goes
who drafts
to
him,
the
but I think-
Patriots.
Yeah,
the
it always
Patriots will
just
take him
depends where
draft him.
guys go.
Yep.
Like I said,
completely agree.
I've been calling the Mac Jones to the Patriots for quite a while now. Like ever since I think the national title game, and now all the boards have him going to the Patriots at 15. So
I know I don't want Deshaun Watson to leave Houston, but if he ends up going somewhere, I know he wants to go to New York.
he'll be
I don't know
gone. He'll
why.
be gone
Okay.
before like
Okay.
May.
I don't know if we have Dre's audio, but I just saw his note that he thinks Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to talk about that or we want to save that for a whole
No.
nother episode.
No,
That's
we can
wrong.
we can open up them can of words right now. Let's do it. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust.
I don't trust Urban Meyer to develop a quarterback. I'm not going to say that he's a bust. I'm not going to say that, but I'm just saying the track record of Urban Meyer developing quarterbacks, they ain't good. So we got to see who he hires as his staff and all that first before I go and say, oh yeah.
But that also then, Paul, suggests that Urban Meyer has the reins long term if he fails. I know Jacksonville's had like a long leash with their head coaches, but if you don't develop Trevor Lawrence
Let's be
in 2
honest.
years,
What do you
he's not a
think?
bust.
What do you think, Joe? What do you think? I say that he don't even make it 4 years.
No, I think he'll be gone in 3 years. And
Right.
But that doesn't
Okay.
necessarily that doesn't mean that Trevor Lawrence 3 years from now can't turn around and become a stud.
Well, that you can
That's
ruin,
true.
you can ruin, but you can ruin a quarterback in 3 years getting him hit.
Didn't
You
Urban
can,
Meyer
yes,
coach
that's what
Alex
the Jets
Smith
are doing.
at Utah?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
Okay,
Thinking of my
one
Utah
in,
years.
One in
Hey, whoa,
30 years
of
whoa. Tim Tebow was not a bust.
Hey, let's give it up to him.
Tebow
He's
is the bust.
playing minor league baseball while covering the SEC football on ESPN Plus. Let's just give
The
him
man's a
props.
legend right now. That man's a
In
legend right
Denver.
now. Making more
probably
than
has a
any
statue.
NFL quarterback.
all right, just go on to something serious if we're going to have this conversation.
All right, let's transition. I asked the guys for COVID news. I said, hey, what are you missing during COVID? I actually have scientific proof something is missing in your life that you guys will never name. So let's do our COVID transition. What is something that has been missing in life since COVID has hit? I'm going to start with you, Dre, over there in Bali. What's something you don't see anymore, hear about anymore since COVID has been here?
There is no COVID here, so.
Oh my gosh.
Just roosters.
Yeah.
Just roosters. Just
Biggest
Dre
biggest
says
flex of all time is
they're not
is
even
for
worried
Dre.
about COVID in Bali. Thanks, Dre. Paul, what about you?
I don't know. No more office gossip. I know that you're never.
No
you're
more
not there.
office gossip. That's definitely true, right? Except unless you have IM, then you're kind of doing it behind the scenes. But no office
No.
gossip. I'll give you that, Paul. You know what? Also has made no appearance. Any baseball players in the Hall of Fame? Don't you think? I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that crazy?
We can let the man sock in, but we can't let the man in. I mean, unbelievable. I'm as far from Kurt Schilling politics as there could possibly be, but at the end of the day, if you said, Paul, your life depends on it, you got to hand somebody the ball to win one game for you, I'm handing the ball to Kurt Schilling.
And that man doesn't even want to be in the Hall of Fame anymore.
Let's just be honest. Ever since COVID, baseball has just been a joke. The Astros thing went down. I mean,
fake news.
You're going to have
the worst commissioner in baseball or sports history is running the show right now. Baseball writers are idiots right now. I mean, gosh.
You're going to have
and on top of that, you had Justin Turner with COVID after he got tested positive during the last game of the World Series out celebrating with his team, which was so BS.
Mm-hmm. Their best player thought he was a Pirate.
No all-time hits leader. No all-time home run leader. No most Cy Young winner in the Hall of Fame. Ernest, every time we talk about the Football Hall of Fame, what do you say to me? Paul, what is the story of the NFL without this guy?
That is it.
So what is the story of the MLB without those guys?
Exactly. Also,
it's dead. It's dead. The league is dead.
Yeah, let me just say that the commissioner that was at the time for the steroid era didn't start testing until 2004. And after that, Barry Bonds never tested positive for PEDs after 2004 when he implemented that. He had a blind eye to the PEDs until 2004. And if he's in the Hall of Fame, everyone else should be too.
Preach it, Davis. Jet, what's missing in your life?
Just put an asterisk. Just sit down in a room, figure dates,
put them in the room.
On every player.
Just
say from X date
to
X date. Yeah, the X date to X date. This was the steroid era. Period.
That's it. Or you know what? For all those guys who have different asterisks, just put a red light bulb. All of them have white light bulbs, except for a few people who have red light bulbs, and they know why, and they have a little detail,
little blurb.
Jet, COVID's hit. What's missing in your life?
Well, I know I really missed March Madness last year. I was very excited for that.
That's a big one.
And I would assume that they're going to try to run the tournament this year, but it's still not going to feel the same to me because there's nothing that gets me hyped like watching those crowds, those packed houses for games.
Truth.
Man, that gets me so amped. And that's definitely going to be missing in my life.
Job, what about you?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
He has
a lot of
everything, people.
I think travel's the one that I really miss. I hate staying in one spot for more than like a month without going somewhere, even if it's just for a weekend or a day or whatever. I hate missing out on travel. So that's mine. Ernest, I know you wanted to talk about this because you were missing something specific. You want to fill us in?
I have something. I'm not there yet. Davis.
Packed Gallagher Iba and packed Boone Pickens here in Stillwater.
What?
Best environment ever. I miss it.
When we can travel, I will travel to each of y'all's cities, and I want to just be taken around the town, and I want to see the life that the sports scientists live. I fully expect to be drunk half the time, but that is going to be the life.
Question, do you want Stillwater or a small town of Wagner?
I want both. I'm spending a weekend with you. And that's going to be after we all come down to Taquito Express in Brownsville, which we'll talk about later. I definitely am going to go to each of towns. Here's what you're missing in your life. And I'll tell you what mine personally is. Mine personally is definitely eating in restaurants. I miss eating in restaurants personally. I mean, people are doing it, but I don't feel safe doing it yet. So I really miss it. But here is what each and every one of us, even Dre, is missing in our life, according to scientists, not sports scientists, but regular scientists. Ants. You do not see ant piles
I saw that today, bro. You
have no ants in your life right now. Think about it, where you'd see ants in the house, ants outside, ants anywhere. There are no more ants. Scientists have said 90% of ant colonies are now underground due to COVID. And that's the only correlation, as signs of ant colonies have now solely underground. They will not come up, and they think it's due to the disease. They have no idea why. They haven't seen any sort of effect, but ant colonies are now mostly underground, even in weathering situations when big storms come in. So there are no more ants appearing on top of the surface due to COVID. How about that, right? So you learn something every day. Yeah, Dre.
I actually know what I'm missing from COVID. Obviously I can't travel, so I cannot go to Taquito Express.
You are definitely missing Taquito Express. Thank you, Dre, for that interruption. That we were needing that plug there. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. But yes, it is ants, and that takes us right to our next topic, which is the NBA, which we have all of our worker ants doing great things in the NBA. And of course, we have our wonderful consensus ranking, which we always look forward to listening and hearing about from our ITL Labsters. You guys are the reasons that we do this. And I've already given away that the East has a new powerhouse up there. Who will be leading there? But first, we go to our favorite media analyst before we go to those rankings, the Wright Pyramid. And we are excited to look at Nick Wright's pyramid of athletes in the NBA. Everybody got to look at this earlier. Let me go ahead and share that for everybody's knowledge. Here is your list of pyramid of players in the NBA. I am excited to be talking and dissecting this list. I've already seen 8 mistakes on his work. Let's get this started from the top down. Davis, I'm hyped to talk about this with you too. What's your first mistake on this pyramid?
Well, it should be labeled the wrong pyramid instead of the right pyramid. Let's just say that real quick. It's completely wrong. Like Paul George should be higher. He's been playing out of his mind this year, like MVP candidate. Let's see. Embiid should be like tier 2. Luka should be down more because his team's not winning. I mean, there's just a lot of like mishaps here. Steph should be higher. Dame should be lower. His team is kind of struggling. Not gonna lie, but that's just quickly because I'd really never glanced at it until just now. So
Jet, I see you're looking on here. I see Steph is 4th tier according to the wonderful Nick Wright. Do you agree with that ranking?
I'm fine with that as long as you drop Dame down. I'm so sick of this argument that Damian Lillard is equal to Steph Curry. That is such a joke. That is like a meme Twitter belief. It's not real, people.
I don't even know in a world where I have AD and Steph and Kawhi on the same level, even in this world, because the significance of Kawhi to the Clippers, Steph to the Warriors, AD to the Lakers, Dame to the Blazers. Is that what he's saying? They're just so significant to the team. They're on the same level. But then how do you have Giannis not on that level? I just don't know how you justify it, why Giannis would be above them if we're talking about importance. I don't understand here.
Some other things that really stand out to me too is I think that he's just completely overplaying CP3 just because of his entire career rather than what he is now.
Agreed.
And another thing is that's way too much respect for Kyrie. You have to show me that you actually want to play.
Kyrie.
You got to show me that you actually want to play basketball before I'm going to put you anywhere near any pyramid. I'm just so sick of his circus.
Agree 100%. I mean, I would put Brown, CJ, and Trey above Kyrie right now.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
Zach LaVine, he's carrying the Bulls to wins like over good teams right now. CJ should not be higher than Zach LaVine. The point leader, Bradley Beal, who leads the league in points right now, should be tier 3 or 4. Let's just be honest. If he gets traded,
who do you move down?
Dame.
So you switch Beal and Dame right now.
Yes.
And you still keep PG-13 in the 5th tier? Who else do you move down? You see, this is where it gets complicated, which is where I think he made sacrifices.
I think you switch out Embiid and Kawhi.
Wow. Embiid is MVP front runner right now.
Okay, but for the entirety of the year, is he going to be
Kawhi
that?
takes breaks. He misses like a fourth of the games just for rest.
And when
he's
it
been
matters,
the second best player on his team this year.
He shows up. Embiid has never carried his team anywhere.
So
I carried his team to a championship.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Luka should be 5th tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say Luka's got to.
Luka's getting way too much respect.
Yeah, Luka needs to be 5th tier. He's Harden level.
Yeah, that's where it starts. Luka's got to come out.
Luka's got to come out. I would switch Luka and PG3. Like PG3 move up. Everybody moves up 1. Giannis moves up 1.
Oh, okay, now you lost me.
Steph moves up 1. And then
Jokic has got to move up.
No, it goes LeBron, Durant, Jokic. Jokic is playing out of his mind. He might pass Joel here in a couple weeks. I mean, for MVP, but let's just talk about that. Giannis is overhyped. They're good in the regular season.
So Jet's gonna like this. I think it should be LeBron, Durant, Jokic at the top 3, and Steph in that 3rd tier. To me, Steph belongs in that 3rd tier because if it is about career, then I'm definitely moving Steph up if we're doing that for CP3. And then it gets a little interesting because I am not high on Giannis. Matter of fact, Giannis is 5th tier. alongside
Wow.
Luka and Harden for me. Because again, career-wise, hasn't done anything yet other than his MVP, which should have been Harden's, the first one, and I guess the second one can be his. And then when it comes to AD, I may move him up a tier. I mean, that may be where I'm going with this. I'm not sure because I have to look at some of the stats. But Kawhi, in my opinion, and PG-13 are too low.
This has to be just his take on this season, though, because there's no way you'd have a career one where you have Giannis higher than Steph.
Exactly.
This was his take for the year. If you watch the segment, which we don't usually watch Nick Wright, people trust me, we don't. But I wanted to see the background to the take. It was how they performed this year and their impact on their teams.
Oh well, that changes a lot for me then.
Because then Harden to me would drop, but I didn't want to seem like I was mad at my ex.
Kyrie's out of the pyramid.
Kyrie doesn't belong on the pyramid. He hasn't played any games.
And that's where we get. And why is Jimmy Butler a little bit higher than Trey and Levine? Sorry, and Middleton would move up for me too.
I mean, Howard Tatum and Zion on the same level too.
Zion
I like
down.
I like Zion, but like, come on.
Exactly.
Tatum needs to be on the third or fourth tier if that's the case, because they play without him. They win half the amount of games that they're going to win this season.
And when was the last time Karl Anthony Towns played? Like, come on.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler.
John Morant was out like most of the season already.
And how can you have that bottom tier with Jeremy Grant, Drew Holiday, Clint Capella, and not have Christian Wood?
I think Chris Middleton belongs up top too.
How do you not have Christian Wood this year? He's a walking 2012.
Yeah. I don't like Chris Middleton personally, but
let me think as far as importance to the team, Kyrie shouldn't be on the list, and everybody's got to slide up one. I think
absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me end with this. I'm gonna give you guys a chance. I'm gonna say it right here. Is this what I think it is? Is this just clickbait? Is this exactly what we're feeding into Nick Wright? Is that we're talking about it? Is that what it all is?
100%.
Like, is he for real with this? Does anybody think Nick Wright really thinks this is legit?
This was just for Steve after his take. So
this is just to drive viewership.
It was absolutely.
Well, and I'll put it this, and I'll say this too, Ernest, is we can say whatever we want about Nick Wright, but he's plugged into what the NBA wants to drive their narrative as well. Like that's why Luka is up there, because Luka started out the year as he was going to be the MVP. And that's still the narrative that the NBA want to carry on through this COVID and all this shit. So like, we can say what we want about Nick Wright, but he has those inside people that's who they want to push. They want to push Luka in that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, his star has to be the brightest because they're selling the NBA on the future, and the changing of the guard is going to be Luka.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
European wave,
I'm actually surprised they had KD that high, knowing Nick Wright. He hates him.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. So we're going to change Nick Wright's name here on forward. It's going to be Nick O. Wright S. Nick only writes sometimes. We appreciate you, Nick Wright, for giving us some of that coverage. Let's talk about our ITL NBA consensus. You hear it every week, everybody. The Lapsters have a react. The sports scientists react to them. So let's talk about the consensus. We started in the East last week. We're going to start in the West this week. Here are your West power rankings for week 4 in the NBA, since we didn't start the first week. Number 1, the Los Angeles Lakers, barely edging out the Los Angeles Clippers. Los Angeles Clippers come out at number 2. At number 3, the Utah Jazz, who have won 9 straight games. At number 4, the surging Denver Nuggets, now at number 4.
Oh, time.
If we all remember, the Nuggets were, I think, down at 12 at one point, and then boosted up to 8, and then now they're at 4. Yeah. At 5, the Portland Trail Blazers. At 5, Dame Lillard. I know, guys, I know. At 6, the Phoenix Suns. Wow. At 7, the Memphis Grizzlies.
What?
At
Who
8,
wrote this?
The Golden State Warriors. At 9, the Dallas Mavericks. At 10, the Houston Rockets. At 11, the San Antonio Spurs. At 12, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Woo! At 13, the New Orleans Pelicans. At 14, the Sacramento Kings. And, of course, the only team that didn't receive a bid or vote, the Minnesota Timberwolves at 15, but that's just by default. So let's talk about reacts 1 through 3. I think we all agree with Lakers, Clippers, Jazz. Those are kind of the
1 through 4. 1 through 4.
Okay, and 4 Nuggets. I didn't have
Yeah.
any problem with those 4 teams. I think those are the
No.
4 best teams in the
Yeah.
West. Bet they are on the right track there.
Yeah.
This is where it gets dicey. We have Blazers, Suns, Grizzlies, Warriors. My personal rankings, the Warriors are further up. And I have dropped back down the Blazers, Suns, and Grizzlies quite a bit. I mean, Grizzlies not so much, but they were just kind of down there already. So let's talk about that. 5, the Warriors. You guys have that same consensus there about Warriors kind of being that 5th best team in the West right now?
Yeah. So I keep up with my own NBA rankings as well.
Okay.
Nightly. I have the Warriors at 5, the Suns at 6, just because they played the Nuggets back to back.
Okay.
And then the Trailblazers. They might fall back just because they lost CJ for a while. I have 5 Western Conference teams from 10 to 14, so it gets a little dicey. And it's the Spurs and the Mavericks. I have the Grizzlies all the way down at 17 on my NBA power rankings.
Okay, you're talking about regular NBA complete power rankings. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Job, you said no to Warriors at 5. You're a little mixed on that. Who do you have at 5?
You know, I have the Warriors a little further down. I actually have the Suns higher up.
Okay.
I'd put the Suns closer to 5. I'd put the Warriors down. You know, I like them at 7 or 8. I know they've played okay this week. They have been playing pretty good altogether. Eric Pascal looks really good. I don't see it as far as the 5th best team. I think that's extremely generous considering that Steph is the entire offense.
Okay, that's fair. That's definitely fair. Jet, how do you feel about 5 through 8?
Well, I don't agree with the voters list, but I think just by default, I'd have the Warriors at 5 just because I don't believe that any of those other teams deserve to be there. And because the Warriors have the best player of those teams. So that's why I'd put them at 5. I like that the Grizzlies are getting some respect. And I said that last time too. They're just a gritty, they're going to play everybody hard kind of team. And so they're going to float in the middle of the pack all year, which is fine. That's who they are. And they live by that. I think that the Suns got exposed by Denver and they got really, really beat. It didn't look close.
And they almost lost to the Rockets. I mean, they blew a 20-point lead to be tied with a minute and a half left in the game.
There's just something off there. I think it's maybe a little bit Booker. I'm not going to be too critical of him, but when I'm watching, it looks to me like there's a lot of times where he's like rushing decisions. He's not making the right pass when it's his turn to pass. And obviously he's a shoot first guy, so that might be why. But you know, that's the kind of stuff that gets sorted out mid-season, that sort of thing. So I wouldn't panic on them. The other team was, I think that the Spurs need to be getting the respect that they deserve just because, I mean, it's Pop, man, and he's doing it again. He takes what he's got and he makes the best of it. And they're all playing to the best of their ability at this point. I expect a little more from Dejounte Murray. I think that's still to come yet, though. And then the Mavericks, they deserve to be down the line until they get their guys back from COVID and they can actually start playing Mavericks basketball. They shouldn't be getting any recognition.
They're getting blown out right now, by the way, as we stream. Yeah. They are getting blown out. By
Mavericks have been struggling really bad as of late. Paul, 5 through 8 for you. Then we're going to talk about 9 and 10 in just a second. I'll lead that conversation. Paul, how do you feel about 5 through 8?
No, I feel pretty much like Jet does. Again, I would go Warriors there because I've seen the Phoenix Suns just get manhandled by the Nuggets.
Well, the Grizzlies is not really the right word, though, Paul. I mean, they took both games to OT. You know, double OT loss is not manhandled. You know, and that's the number.
But they went in as favorites, though,
right? And they don't have a matchup. They don't have the matchup with Jokic. Like they don't. Like that's going to be a problem all year. Like
no one has a matchup with Jokic, though.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
He's an MVP candidate. You know, he's going to win the MVP. But I mean, he's out rebounding like guards.
But when you're favored at home, you know what I mean? Like, and you're supposed to be above these other teams, then you should handle it. But at least get one of those dubs.
Split it. Yeah.
Split it. Yeah. Okay. And for me, like the 4, you know, if you guys are putting the Suns at 8, Denver
No,
Four.
no,
It
I'm
goes
I
not.
don't think
Not
anybody
an
has.
8. It's just it's only them and the Warriors. You could flip flop them
Oh,
5
okay,
and
all right.
6.
Yeah, I
You
mean
know what
they're
I mean?
at
5 and
6 right now
6.
in the consensus for our live
And the
stream
Grizz,
listeners.
the Grizz are going to finish 7 or 8. I mean, they could go as high as 6, I think, but they're just that team that's like Jet said. They're gonna be in it all year. They're gonna be a tough out when you get them in the playoffs, and they're making the playoffs. They're gonna be between that 8 and 6,
Yep.
and then until the Mavericks actually show me something, like how can you say the Mavericks are gonna make the playoffs right now? Like sitting right here, right now, how can you say, oh, they're just gonna turn it on with half the season that we don't even know what's going to happen,
Right.
and we're already halfway
Totally
through
agree.
the other half.
Well, you open up that can of worms, right? Mavs are at 9, Rockets are at 10.
Can
Yeah.
Davis,
we
you were going
agree
to say
that?
something?
Yeah, can we agree that the Knicks won the Kristaps Porzingis trade? Or are we not there yet?
Not there yet.
I
Not
think we're
yet.
there.
I'm
But
not there yet.
I mean, like your Rockets are coming,
and we're going to talk that, right? We're going to talk about
they're
them in just a
coming.
second. Let's not open that can yet. But
Yeah,
Mavs
they're
at 9,
coming.
I think it's suitable because they had started off kind of hot
Yes.
with Luka, and now
Yeah.
they've kind of cooled off.
Yeah.
COVID does that, but Porzingis is back, and that's still not flowing, right? So
Right.
still off, even though he's coming back from COVID. Maybe that hit him a little bit harder than we thought. The Rockets at 10 is very interesting, and I didn't even have any sort of influence on the rankings, so thank goodness I don't have any sort of slack on this. But Rockets come in at 10, and that's our focus team of the night. So we're not going to talk too much about it, but Rockets are 4-2 in their last 6 games post the Harden trade. They split with the Spurs, barely lost to the Suns, like I said. They also had a close loss in there to somebody else. I forget who it was, but they won 3 straight against Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal with Washington. They beat the Detroit Pistons. And all of those games have come off without having their big 3 altogether. John Wall was out for the first 2 of those games against the Spurs and against the Mavericks. And then Victor Oladipo didn't start, which I said his name right, didn't start until 2 nights, the last 2 games. And then Christian Wood has been out for the extent of that time. So now we get to see the big 3 of Houston tomorrow against the Portland Trailblazers at 6:30 Central Time, where we get to actually see what Houston looks like for the first time altogether, which is going to be interesting. We'll talk about them in just a moment. Let's go ahead, Davis.
I will say I have the Thunder, not biased at all. I'm just saying the Thunder are ahead of the Rockets until the Rockets can actually win with their big 3.
Okay,
so we'll see that tomorrow night.
That's fair. That's fair. I know the Rockets jumped the Thunder in standings, but I think they have the same record, right? They're both 7-9. They're both 7-9.
The Spurs need love too. The Spurs need love too.
Oh yeah,
I do agree with the Spurs, but the COVID talk comes back, right? Because they're going to take time to recover. They're going to need minutes to get back, which means more losses. So I like to see that team together because again, you split with the Rockets. So now I have them at the same level. So
I thought you would have more Spurs love just because most of your like.
Well, I don't want to get San
Texas.
Antonio Spur love and then like hype them and then they drop down to 15 or something. They completely shit the bed. But I do love what they're doing in San Antonio. They got younger and they're still competitive. And Pop is doing his thing, right? I think it's Keldon Johnson. I hope I'm not pronouncing it.
Yes.
Fantastic player.
Yeah.
I mean, just phenomenal. And he's going to be one of those players.
There.
Yeah, he's gonna be one of those players that it's. I don't want to say he's on Kawhi's level. He's gonna be one of those developing players that Pop's gonna have his hands on.
What's really incredible about the Spurs, in my opinion, is that I think LaMarcus Aldridge is playing the worst basketball of his career, and they're still 9-8.
Yeah, I think they need to get rid of DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar hasn't been
Aldridge.
fantastic either.
They need to get rid of both of them. I don't know who's going to take the Aldridge contract, in my opinion. Maybe a contending team that needs a big.
Yeah,
and then DeMar might go. Let's say the Sixers or
back to Toronto.
Nick,
back
maybe
to Toronto.
maybe. Let's talk East though, right? So we got our consensus for the East, and like I said earlier, we have a new number 1 in the NBA Eastern Conference. That is the Philadelphia 76ers, the new number 1 consensus ITO Eastern Conference team. Number 2, the Milwaukee Bucks jumped the Celtics as well. Number 3, the Boston Celtics. Number 4, the Brooklyn Nets. They have not changed all year. Number 5, the Indiana Pacers. Number 6, the Atlanta Hawks, which if you're tuning in and watching any basketball, Hawks and Nets are going to overtime. The Magic are the 7th spot. The Cavs come in at number 8. Knicks at 9. The Raptors crack the top 10 at number 10. And then right after that, Heat at 11, Hornets at 12, Bulls at 13, and then the last two teams did not receive a vote.
That's some
And-
disrespect on the Bulls.
And that is your top 13 in the Eastern Conference.
I
Very
kinda agree with the
different,
Bulls.
very different 7 down. So let's talk. Hawks made a jump, probably from the recent play and amazing play of Clint Capella and Trae Young. Been absolutely phenomenal the last 5 games. Which I'm jealous because we had Clint Capella, so we won't even go there, but kudos to them. All right, guys, 76ers, Bucks, Celtics, some change at the top there. I've had Sixers at the top all year, but we know our rankings have changed. Any surprise the Celtics dropping? I don't think so. I mean, they've been playing like a hot mess lately. I think somebody might have said that earlier.
Just got Tatum back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to – go ahead.
I think the Nets are a better team right now. I think the Nets are number 3.
I was going to go the other way, Davis.
Pacers are at 5, right? Is that what you said?
Pacers are at 5. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. It gets a little more messy down at the bottom. I think the top's pretty solid. You could switch like
I mean,
one or two.
give me the Bulls and the Knicks there at the bottom.
Yeah, so with injuries, those teams in the bottom really fluctuate how great they play, right? Because Indiana with and without Sabonis are 2 very different teams.
Well, the Eastern Conference champions are down at number 12, the Heat.
Yeah, Heat at 11. Yeah,
11.
They haven't had anybody. They haven't had their full roster like the whole season.
Yeah, they just got Bam back. They still don't have Jimmy.
I think Tyler's coming back tonight or tomorrow. When they play. So.
Yeah, I definitely think the East is very hard to predict right now, even how good some of those teams are. I do love to see Knicks climbing, Cavs climbing. I mean, Colin Sexton, 42 points against the Nets was amazing. I mean, in this last week, to see that against the Nets, that was fantastic. I think to watch these, LeBron just torched the Cavs, but that was a Cavs executive front office guy's fault. Let's be honest. That guy should have never been clapping on the sideline. What an idiot. But I actually agree with most of the Eastern rankings. I do have the Celtics at 4 myself. I have the Nets at 3. I do think that they're the better team right now because of the talent.
Yeah.
But then
as we're right here, the Celtics got Jason Tatum back, but they're down 11 to the Spurs in the third quarter. So just keep that in mind.
And it looks like David Culley is the new head coach of the Texans, which if you're not familiar with him, that is the Ravens assistant coach, David Culley. So Houston doing Houston things, but
they had to go search for that. They really had to go search.
Eastern Conference.
What's that mean? Never heard of it.
I have so many problems. Yeah, I have so many problems with these Eastern Conference rankings.
So Joe, talk to us a little bit about your rankings, right?
Yeah.
You said you're very different about the Nets.
I put the Nets at 6.
Okay. All right. So who's your top 5?
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I didn't catch last week's episode. I know Sam was here. Since then, right? The Nets lost twice to the Cavs. They beat the Magic. They beat the Knicks. They beat Denver, right? Denver and the Bucks. So 2 good teams, 2 mediocre teams.
4 and 2.
Getting blown out by 4 and 2 to 2 good teams though, and they got blown out by Cleveland both times. I think the Nets are specifically whatever effort they put in. They could be the number 1, or they could be the number 7, just based on how much effort you get out of Kyrie and James Harden. I think Kevin Durant, every time he's on the floor, is going to give you effort. I don't know what his health situation is right now, but what I do know is that the Brooklyn Nets let teams hang in games. They haven't blown anybody out. That's good all year. And the fact that they're currently in overtime with the Hawks, and they had to go to overtime twice with Cleveland, they're just not dominant the way that they should be to be top 4. Because I think Philly specifically is dominant, and some of those other teams are as well. I'd also move the Bucks up. I'd move the Pacers up. And I'd put the Knicks, give the Knicks some credit. They're holding teams to like 90 points, and they're staying in games. They're just collapsing late. So I would move them up as well. I think there's some very high overvalue on star talent on this roster.
When it comes to the Nets, the issue is they're asking 3 guys, and I don't care who they are. They're asking 3 guys to do 5 guys worth of stuff for 36 minutes a night every night.
And they're getting exposed, and then they end up
exhausted.
getting screwed in overtime.
Tonight, 100 out of 122 points, only 23 of that has come off the bench.
There you go.
Yeah. They don't have a bench. They traded their bench to the Rockets.
And the Hawks, Cam Reddish alone has 22 points off the bench.
I mean,
If that gives
the
you any
Nets,
detail.
the Nets
Yeah.
have no desire to play defense,
Exactly.
which to me, they are as good as the team that they play. When they play a good team like Denver and they show up and think, oh, we have to play well in order, we have to put defensive effort in order to win, they play well. But they don't play well in and out every night. So I can't put them at 4 in the power rankings. I just can't.
Yeah,
I don't know what the record
86,
is.
real
86
reason-
points, 86 points and 21 assists for the big three is absolutely nuts.
And if you're
Yeah,
playing
that is
3-on-3
crazy.
basketball, they're the best. They're the best big three.
That sounds
probably
sounds like a
I've ever
minimum.
seen.
that
Yeah,
sounds like a
yeah, it
minimum
It really
they need.
does. It really does. But let's talk. Okay, but let's be realistic here, right? LeBron formed his big three. Team started 11-8, right? I mean, it takes time for a big three to really kind of mesh together and be successful. Now, if we're talking about, we talked about how the Nuggets had a slow start. We're like, hey, don't pump the brakes on the Nuggets. It's early. I think the same thing about the Nets, but they actually have a winning record here. Like the Nuggets were 1-4 or
Yeah.
something like that. We were talking
It
about that.
will never
So-
work with Kyrie Irving.
I agree with Paul. I think Kyrie Irving
But
sucks.
so if you think the Nets have one more move and they move Kyrie for bench pieces or rotation pieces, is that better for them, or do they keep a big
Yes.
three?
Absolutely.
No,
I've been
100%.
I've been saying for 2 weeks.
I don't know. I think y'all are just. I get how Kyrie was bad to his team, but we still don't know what was happening. I mean, yeah, he
Right.
could have told them, but
Okay,
we
but he
still
was
don't know what
bad in
happened.
Boston too.
And arguably,
And
I'm
Kyrie's
not
been
even
better. Kyrie's
all
been
that-
better
all-
than James Harden once they've been playing together.
all
Kyrie has
that
been
all that
better.
aside, Davis, like
Yeah,
if
'cause
you
he-
watch the games where Kyrie wasn't there, it flowed way better.
They played better. They played better
It
without him.
flowed way better.
Kyrie's shooting like 25 shots a night, man.
If they
Yeah, and
take
he's
Kyrie
making
off
half
the
of
floor,
them.
How
if you take Kyrie
many do you
off the
think
floor
Harden
and
would
you
make if he had
substitute
25 shots?
Well, right now,
21
Kyrie's
at
11.
least.
16
Kyrie,
of them.
hold on.
Just
Kyrie's
kidding, Jeff.
11
Just
for
kidding.
16 tonight, while James Harden is 9 for 19. Okay.
When someone's gonna have an off night, that's the benefit of a big three. You can do that and still win games. But
Let's.
Kyrie Irving doesn't make his teammates better. He just doesn't.
So those are your.
He plays to the level that he needs to play at. But if you remove Kyrie Irving from the equation and you add 2 bench pieces, that team is better off.
I
No,
agree.
because I think James Harden just takes over that role that Kyrie doesn't have. James Harden has 15 assists tonight. Kyrie has 7. I mean,
Yeah, and if you remove Kyrie Irving from the equation, you're still getting 15 assists from him, but you're probably going to get 8 assists between your 2 bench players. You're better off. And those two,
But
think about it. The fourth
who would
best
they
player on
trade
the
for?
Nets is DeAndre
Lonzo
Jordan. He's
and
old.
Lonzo and Redick. I mean,
So I'm looking at it. I think Kevin Love's about to get bought out. In Cleveland,
they
I
don't
think
need
you
to
can
Then
go
they
get Kevin
don't
Love.
need to trade.
Even then, I would go get Kevin Love if he's available, and if not, I'd go talk to Detroit about getting Andre Drummond. I'd
Kyrie
try
back
to go
to
get Andre
Cleveland.
Drummond, and I'd get rid of.
there's talks that
Kyrie
Drummond
is not
and
good.
Kevin Love will be bought out.
But
by
are
the-
we saying that then Brooklyn needs a shooting big and a rotation piece, and they're better?
Defender.
I think they
No,
just
they
need
just
somebody
need
who
a
plays
defender.
defense first. I mean, DeAndre
Yeah.
Jordan is a great player in his prime. His prime was 6 years ago, with Blake
fair.
Griffin and Chris Paul, and even then he was the third wheel on the team.
Obviously,
you can't be the 36-minute, 40-minute person in the rotation and not get exposed defensively on the perimeter. He just can't.
I'd have them locked in for the finals if Spencer Dinwiddie wasn't dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they're missing. The only thing they're missing is Spencer Dinwiddie. It's the only
But-
thing they're missing.
But like he's done for the year. So what
I
do you
know.
do, right?
I honestly think they go and trade for a defender that has a 1-year deal.
Probably PJ
They
Tucker.
don't trade Kyrie Irving. They don't
need a
trade Kyrie Irving.
They need a 3-and-D player, or they need a big man who plays defense on the perimeter. One or the other.
PJ
Like
Tucker.
a Kyle Korver style player would make them so much better.
But,
I like
but
the
not,
Tucker
have it.
idea.
They wanted
have Joe
PJ Tucker,
Harris.
but they didn't have any assets for him. I could see a 3-team trade where they can work a pick from somebody and get PJ Tucker over to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn sends over some overseas person or some
Does Harden
down the
want
roster.
PJ in?
Yeah, he does.
Brooklyn?
They're best friends. So we have to see. I mean, PJ's bought, and PJ and Eric go. Let's talk Rockets, right? Let's go there. That was the final NBA segment. Pick'em, which is a quick pick'em segment, but our quick 5-minute discussion on the Redemption Rockets, right? ITL coined the phrase Redemption Rockets back when we saw this roster, 9 comeback player of the year type of players that are eligible for that award. And they have not disappointed as of late. John Wall looking more like vintage John Wall every single game. The wonderful Victor Oladipo has bought into the system. He's looking pretty fantastic. Him and John Wall looked great together for the first time last night as they blew out the Washington Wizards. And Christian Wood, like I said, the Walking 2012. A lot of you Rockets fans that follow our account, I wanted to give some love. So let's talk about those Redemption Rockets. We have a very special video that we're going to be releasing this week, probably more towards the weekend, if not later tonight or tomorrow, that you're going to absolutely enjoy. But the Redemption Rockets are also joined by David Nwaba, who suffered a season-ending injury himself, DeMarcus Cousins, who's making a comeback with his season-ending injury. We go on. The list goes on and on for these Redemption Rockets. Let's not forget Kevin Porter Jr. is now part of this Houston Rocket team. Has not made his debut yet, but obviously he needs to make a comeback for himself, right? A walking 12-point basket scorer. So, guys, Christian Wood comes back. Let's say the Rockets play tomorrow. I'm going to put a hypothetical out there. The Rockets blow out the Blazers with the big three. They just look flat out of mid. I know the Blazers haven't been playing very well anyways, but let's say they blow out the Blazers. Now they've won 4 in a row. They're 8-9. They would be a game and a half back from the 5 seed. I know it's early, right? What is the ceiling of a big three? If Kevin Porter Jr. also comes out, chemistry-wise, John Lucas, known to be a player development person, he hits the rotation. Now you're looking at a very solid 10-man rotation for Houston. What do you say about the big three in Houston with that rotation? I'll start with you, Davis, because I know you're not going to have a bias towards it. There's no reason for you to. So what do you think about the new look Houston Rockets? Are these Redemption Rockets going to live up to that type of name?
I mean, I like them. I mean, now that James Harden's gone. But I do not agree with Victor Oladipo being bought in. I think he's still eyeing Miami as his potential trading spot after this. Because he's been wanting out of Indy for a long time. I think hasn't been there for 2 years now. But I think their ceiling is kind of like OKC from last year. Just a gritty team that beats you on defense and better plays ran. So I think they could get like the 6 to 9 seed. Remember, because there is a play-in for the 9 seed this year. But I think Christian Wood is really a candidate for comeback player of the year. Maybe John Wall is too, if he can get his points up and assists up. But
go ahead.
When you get a former lottery pick in Kevin Porter Jr. for a second rounder, can we just talk about how heavily protected that second rounder is?
I know, down to the 55th pick.
55, like it's top 55.
It's
getting that pick back.
Got the player for free. Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty much. And I'm going to go over to you, Jet, because I know you have, I don't think you have an anti-bias, but you definitely don't have a bias towards the Rockets. So let's talk a little bit about this team. They're top 3 in defense since having this set roster in the past 9 days. And their offense is obviously the struggle, right? They're trying to fit all these pieces, so they're 18th in the league. I told you guys they have the third easiest schedule than any NBA team this season, first 36 games. So talk to me, Jet, what's the ceiling for the Rockets with this big three, in your opinion, with the way the teams are stacked in the West?
Well, I look at the Rockets, and I just see a team that, to me, can compete with pretty well anybody. But I feel like if Oladipo can fully buy in, he's the kind of guy that can take you over the top and make you a legitimate team that could knock off a big dog come playoff time. It's yet to be seen, but he's got all the potential in the world still, even post injuries. And right. I like what he brings to the table, particularly scoring wise, which is obviously the need for that team. So, I don't know. I'm optimistic for them. I like the Redemption Rockets. I hope that he wants to stay there, that the whole Heat thing is not real. And he could really put them over the top.
Yeah, reminder, Victor Oladipo, only 28. Bird rights are in Houston, so fully signed contract max can be signed in Houston. So the money incentive is there. Not that kept James Harden, but the money incentive is there. Christian Wood, only 25. And Kevin Porter Jr., like Davis said, just a lottery pick a couple years ago. Job, you have now a look at the roster. You've seen some of the stats. What are your thoughts on this Redemption Rockets train?
So the Redemption Rockets of 2021 are going to finish with the 6th seed in the Western Conference. I look at it and I think that they can compete with anybody. People already assume that Boogie Cousins is washed, that John Wall is no longer good, that his best days are behind him. They're only 30. they have 2, maybe 3 years left of good basketball, and they are finally in a situation where the two of those guys are both happy and giving the keys. John Wall was giving the keys in Washington, but he wasn't super happy being the face of a franchise that was losing. Boogie Cousins hasn't been happy, I don't think, ever in the NBA.
Never.
But he's finally playing with his college teammate, his good friend. They seem to be having a blast. And now that the cancer's gone from that clubhouse, I don't see anybody, that they can't compete with, except maybe, I think they're overmatched by the Nuggets. I think they're overmatched by the Lakers. I even think they can compete with the Jazz, who are on an absolute tear. I just think that, their ceiling is probably the 6th seed, but they could go in there and sneak in there and win some games in the playoffs too.
I don't agree with you about the Boogie take. I think when you have an Achilles tear, correct?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. He had the
And
Achilles tear.
ACL
was
too.
the most recent. Yeah.
I mean, geez, that's really hard to come back from. And it's
Yeah,
showing.
but,
It's
you're
showing.
looking at him. You don't need him to be old Boogie though.
I know, but
Christian,
it shows. It shows in his stats. He's only doing 18 minutes a game, almost 9 points and 8 rebounds. I mean, he's almost a double guy, but I think you need more out of him if they're gonna play the way that
he
You're
has
still
averaged,
working him back though.
He has
maybe
averaged
that's
double the
just
last
me.
3 games.
I haven't looked since the new team was constructed at his stats specifically, but I think Boogie Cousins is only just now starting to feel healthy again. I think and comfortable in the offense. The offense is going to get better,
Both of them.
and I think Boogie's defensive efforts never been questioned since he joined the Rockets. So I would be surprised if he doesn't end the season with 13 and 10 as his averages.
Which is a backup center role.
Which is a backup center role, but I think
right.
that's pretty much all you need from him if you can get
Right.
scoring out
That's
of
more than you
Oladipo.
need. More than you need.
Like Jet said, Oladipo is the X factor here. I mean, people thought he was going to be better than Paul George in Indiana. They were like, we can move on from Paul George because we have Victor Oladipo. He's going to be the next guy. We don't have to, worry. We're not going to be bottom of the league, lottery pick team forever because we have Oladipo. So, and I think he's going to be fantastic when he finally gets his head right and gets back to playing basketball and forgetting about the noise. I think this team's going to be great. And they're fun to watch, finally. I mean, the Houston Rockets have been the least likable team in basketball for the last 5 years, and now that's no longer the case.
Well, I appreciate you saying we're fun to watch. I don't get that very often, so thank you very much. Just Paul, you're going to have the last word on this one. How do you feel about those redemption Rockets? Are you on that train?
Absolutely, I am. Top 5. They can finish top 5. I don't see them cracking the top 4. Like you said, Ernest, to me, the schedule sets up perfectly for them, at least this first half. If they could run it out 5, 6 games, 7 games over 500 at the break, that would be a really nice lead into the second half, maybe get some things solidified and kind of see where they're at. I mean, I just don't see them. I'd have to see it, against those top 4 teams to see, hey, is it going to actually work or whatever? But I will say that they'll have a way better plan than they did against those 4 the last few years. That team will at least grind it out and try to get a dub instead of just depending on, Harden to go off for 50. So that'll be interesting. But 5 is the ceiling.
Yeah, that's where I am with Paul. I agree with Paul.
Redemption Rockets, I will sell you this, and I will go ahead and give you the speaker view for this. The video that you will get is all of my hopes and dreams for this Redemption Rocket. So you will see my take on that video. But I will tell you this right now, with the way the schedule is looking, I do have the Rocket ceiling at the 2 seed because of how easy that schedule is. Because of how easy the schedule is. I'm not saying they're the second best team in the West.
You got to put the Ernest bias.
I'm not saying they're the second best team in the West.
So they're the 4th best team.
I'm saying they are probably the 5th or 6th best team in the West, but schedule will allow them to make the playoffs at a high seed. They will have a 500 record against top 4 teams in the NBA West, but we are going to be talking about how the Rockets won that trade because they are a top team in the West ranking seeding wise, and they got all those picks for Harden. And we're going to see a very interesting playoff round when we see the Rockets take on whoever they're matched up with. Hopefully it's the Jazz because we own them in the playoffs. But Rockets fans, be ready because this is going to be a ride this year. I am hyped for this team. I can't yell, guys. I can't yell. So I'm hyped for this team.
As you're saying, the Rockets are 2. You'll probably play the Clippers in the first round. Like, come on. the way
No,
that you're
Clippers are
like to
probably
watch
gonna.
that.
The Clippers will be the 3.
I do agree with you with the schedule.
Could
The
probably
next,
catch my dubs, actually.
the
Probably,
next
probably a 4-5 matchup is gonna
Yeah.
be Warriors Rockets.
The-
Yeah,
the-
that's
the next-
probably what's
the
gonna be.
next 12 games, they're all winnable. You got Portland, New Orleans, a back-to-back against Oklahoma City, Memphis,
When-
the Spurs,
Guys,
the
I'm t-
Hornets,
I'm
the
telling
Pelicans
you.
again.
Davis,
I
how are they going to
warned
be
you
over
guys.
that span? I think they're going to be 8-4.
Yeah.
looked at that span
I think they'll
earlier.
be 10-2. I think they'll be 10-2.
I warned you guys. This Rockets seem to have a lot of wins because of that cupcake schedule. But let's leave this here and let's talk NBA Pick'em because we are going to talk Rockets right now. Rockets Blazers will be one of our featured games in the NBA Pick'em. Just Paul, let's end this segment. Who was this brought to us by?
It's brought to you by livingmybestcigarlife.com. You can go there, check them out. All the premium handmade cigars you could want, humidors, accessories, everything you could possibly imagine. Use My Best Cigar Life in all caps. Get $10 off your first order. Check them out, livingmybestcigarlife.com.
Some people on Rockets Twitter wanted to challenge me on whether I've been a Rockets fan for life. Trust me, I have proof I was. You'll see that
Yes.
later in a post.
Yes.
Let's get
Yes.
to this commercial break and let's do some Pick'em. That's the bell, and this is round 2, NBA Pick'em. This is a special streaming round only. We're not going to have this in our podcast, so if you're sticking around, this is for tomorrow's games. So we have looked at tomorrow's games and the matchups. These are analysis and picks based off everybody playing. So if we get some news in the morning that somebody is not playing, do not listen to this stream or don't come back to it. Listen to what we say, but then take into account what's happening. So let's talk about the first one on the docket, which is about those Redemption Rockets playing at home against those Portland Trailblazers. Dre, why don't you start first since you're on my screen?
I'll give it to you, Rockets.
Dre's going with a rock. I don't understand how you talk and the noise goes away, but when you're not talking, the noise is like full blast.
Exactly. That's what I'm questioning too.
I love it. Paul, who do you have in this game?
Hashtag Redemption Rockets, baby. We got to start it tomorrow night. Tomorrow night starts the train. Hashtag Redemption Rockets.
Hashtag Redemption Rockets. We're riding the train now, Jet.
Well, with Nurkic dead and Enes Kanter having to take serious minutes, I think that they're going to have a field day with Boogie Cousins and Christian Wood. So I like the Rockets.
Big 3 debut episode 4. The Houston Rockets is a win in Jets book. Job.
It's going to be a Rockets sweep.
Wow. He's calling the Redemption Rockets sweep with 4 in a row for the Rockets. Job's riding the train. Davis.
Sweep? Nah. I'm just kidding. No, the Rockets going to win this because I hate Dame. I hate the Trailblazers. So
Just because we hate Dave.
also shout out Damian Lillard, who decided to release a shoe for his championship when he beat the Thunder
Round 1.
in round 1. That's his only accomplishment besides bubble MVP. So shout out him because the day after that, the Thunder beat him.
I will tell you this, Dame
Blue
may
Dort.
go off for 50, but they're only going to score about 80 tomorrow.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go ahead and take the Rockets, Redemption Rockets, riding 4 in a row, going to pop into that top 10 for everybody after tomorrow's convincing win on national TV. I'm excited to watch. I believe that's TNT. So go ahead and turn on your TVs and watch that nationally
Ernest.
televised game. We don't get many. Yep.
Check out the post-game interview when Shaq roasts Christian Wood.
Oh,
So-
I loved it. Yeah, it was perfect. If you haven't seen that, he said he respects his game because he had never watched film on him. And what did he say, Davis?
Oh, I was referencing how Shaq's been completely like dismantling like players after they win games.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, Christian Wood basically said he was one of those people, or he said something like that. But it was hilarious.
He
Go
just said
watch
he
the
was he was old and out of touch.
yeah, something like that.
In so many words.
Wow.
Yep. So excited to see that. Now, Heat Clippers is also tomorrow. Heat trying to figure things out. The Clippers have been on a tear tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'm going to start this one off. I'm going to take the Clippers in this game to win. We do not have spread totals today, but whatever it is, take the Clippers and the points. Dre, who do you have in this game?
Yeah, Clippers and the points.
He's gonna double that up there, Jet.
Oh, boys. No Kawhi, no Paul George, no Patty Bev. The Heat are going to kill him.
What?
Oh, he's taking the Heat in an upset pick
What?
there. Okay, I like that, Jet. There was some fire into
They're
there.
all out with COVID, dude.
Joe.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna read the injury report real quick here. Goran Dragic out. Paul George out. Jimmy Butler out. Myers
What about
Leonard
Bam?
doubtful. Harkless questionable. Beverly
Bam
out.
playing?
Kawhi out. He's not on the injury report. Bam is playing.
So Bam
Oh.
against Batum. That's what we got tomorrow.
Tyler
Tyler
Hero
Hero-
is questionable,
Yeah.
and Chris Silva is questionable. So what
Oh,
I'm seeing here is
Chris
this is
Silva.
the bench squad. This is the bench squad, and in the battle of the benches, I'm going to give it to Miami. They want it more, and I love watching Bam play.
What?
It's
Two
Bam
Heat-
versus nobody.
2 Heat,
Is-
2 Clippers. Davis, talk some truth.
Is no one watching the scores from tonight?
Yeah, the Celtics are
If it's
now
Bam,
up after
if
you
it's
coached
Bam
them.
versus everyone, they would have beaten the Nuggets tonight, but they got blown out, 109-82. They can't even score 90 points.
The Nuggets.
The Nuggets are
Yeah, I
much
know.
better than the Clippers bench.
But the Clippers have a better bench than the Heat.
You're comparing the Nuggets starters to the Clippers bench. Am I getting this right?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
What he's saying
I'm
is
just-
that if you compared the Clippers bench and the Miami bench, you're going to give the edge to the Clippers bench, even if they have Bam playing with the Miami bench.
I'm
Is that
pretty
what
sure
you're
the
saying,
Clippers
Davis?
won last night too with their bench. Am I correct?
You are. They did win last night.
Yep, they
Exactly.
did.
Give me the Clippers.
They beat the
No,
Hawks.
no. They lost
No,
to the
they
Hawks.
lost. I'm
They
sorry,
lost
they
by
lost to
9
the
to the
Hawks.
Hawks.
Oh, they lost.
Okay, well, they
And
kept
they
it
didn't score 100
closer.
points.
They kept it closer than the Heat did to the Nuggets. So give me the Clippers.
So do we have to compare the Hawks and the? I'm just kidding. Just Paul. Who is your
Nuggets.
take? Who are you picking in this game?
It has nothing to do with any of that. But when you go to Miami, you tend to not give a fuck.
And there's
You
fans in
tend
Miami.
you tend to enjoy the scenery around South Beach,
I don't know what
especially
you're talking
when
about.
all your stars aren't playing. So give me the Heat.
My former star has no experience of that in Miami, so I don't know
Right.
what you're saying. We didn't have any of that business in Houston.
Right.
But all right, so that means that we are split down the middle 3-3 between Miami and LA. So if you'd like to build those parlays out, just build 2 parlays, split the money, and one of them's got to win. Let's go to Lakers Pistons. Lakers going to Detroit. That's the other 7:00 game. I'm going to start this one off with Davis. Who do you have in this game?
Why are we even asking about this?
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you a 10.5 point spread.
Okay. All right. Well,
Lakers covered that because they.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
They just came back. Never mind. I was
the
gonna say,
Lakers
'cause-
cover that.
I got 2 Laker covers. Jet.
Cover.
Well, the Lakers are losing right
Laker
now, so
covers.
that means they're going to lose next game. So I'm
Nah,
going to.
They just came back. They're trying to hold that road streak.
I see what you did there.
They were just
I'll
down
take-
by 10.
I'll take the Lakers bench to beat the Pistons starters.
That's
Here
right.
we go. Here we
That's
go.
right.
Here we go. We got 4 Laker money lines. Dre.
AD and LB don't play, so Pistons.
Oh, he's taking Pistons.
The attaboy.
The Wayne
That'll-
Ellington
so-
show.
That'll
We gotta-
probably
we-
happen.
We have
I love
another.
it.
We have another hashtag we can get trending. It's Fade Dre.
Fade Dre. Everything
Fade
Dre
Dre.
puts on there. Hashtag Wayne Ellington show is what Dre is saying. I'm taking the Lakers to win this, not cover 10.5 points. So I think the Lakers take care of business. Pistons are not very good at closing games, and they don't actually want to win. They're trying to keep their pick.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Warriors Suns to end out tonight's episode. Jet, you are the man behind the plan with the Warriors. Warriors going up against those struggling Suns as of late. Talk to us.
I think there's 2 major storylines that are going to come into play in this game. One being that I know Kelly Oubre's name is on the trade block right now, and that's instantly not good for chemistry that you're trying to build in the first place. The other being CP3 gets up for every single game he plays against Steph Curry. That is his ultimate rival, as it should be, and I love watching him play against him. That is so fun. Both those two just go at it, and for those 2 reasons, I like the Suns in this game.
Oh, wow. Wow. Nice. Dre.
Taking the over, but just for pick 'em, I'll do the Warriors.
Well, I'll add the over to the parlay if you're that confident about it. Just Paul.
Yeah, I'm with Dre with the over, but that surprises me with Jet. So I'm gonna roll with what Jet thinks. I'm gonna go with the Suns because I don't know what's going on down there. In the
Now
Boston
it got you worried.
I-
Well, let
you
me go
know
look
what
at
I
that
mean?
report. Let me see that
Yeah.
new report. What's the coaching
Yeah.
staff saying? Joe.
I'm confused by everybody wanting to take the over. The Suns are the slowest team in the NBA.
Exactly.
And
In the bench.
Because it's gonna be low. It's gonna be low. It's gonna
Yeah,
be like
the
220.
bench. Think of the bench.
I just,
Yeah, the bench, man.
interesting. I'm gonna take the Suns here. But depending on the points, I might lay Warriors points if they get 3 or 4 points. But the Suns are gonna win this game. They've had a bad stretch. They're a much better team than they've played in the last couple of weeks, and they're gonna take out all of their Denver hate on the Warriors.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I understand that a little bit.
So
Go ahead,
like
Davis.
they took out the Denver hate tonight. I mean, they're losing by 9 to my Thunder Al Horford has 5 for 5 from 3-point range.
Okay, so they're gonna be
They have a back-to-back.
hurting.
Give me the Warriors. I mean, the Suns are on a streak.
Warriors also have back to
Right
back.
now.
Warriors are also on a back-to-back.
They
Yeah,
play
but-
late tonight.
Who are they playing?
The Wolves.
E-Wolves.
Exactly. Give me the Warriors.
Oh, now it matters. Okay.
I'm with you, Davis. I am
Love
taking
it.
the Warriors to win this game and
Love
cover
it.
4 points. But if it's more than 4, I'm taking the Suns to cover that easily.
Yeah. Also, the Suns only have 44 points, and it's the third quarter. I don't see that overhitting.
Okay, so the Suns are taking their time. Tonight they're losing. They've lost what? Is that 3 of 5 they've lost? They're a much
If they
better
lose
team than
tonight,
that.
it'll be 3 in a row.
Yeah, so they're not going to lose 4 in a row. Not to the Warriors. Not the way they're constructed. They're going to beat the Warriors by a mile.
Hey guys, this has nothing to do with it, but now that I see the Wizards are down 25 to the Pelicans, where's Bradley Beal playing? Last question one this show.
Boston.
Oh, that's interesting.
76ers.
Miami.
It's bigger. Oh wow, it's even
Miami.
bigger.
I
Yeah,
like Miami.
I like
That's
that
a good.
Miami.
That's a
If
good.
he goes to
take.
Miami, Oladipo's out.
Oh, yes. Yes. Tobias Harris just hit an almost game winner. Let's see.
To what? Almost a game winner?
Winner.
An almost game winner. All right, guys, that
Davis
ends
is
our
gonna
NBA
almost call
pick'em.
the
That is
game.
Yep.
That is
Game
brought
winner.
to us by the great Taquito Express down in Brownsville, Texas. We are looking forward to having a massive week in Brownsville, Texas when COVID is. They're going to have a stage set up. We're going to have our live shows going on, our live streamers going on there and playing your favorite games as well. We're going to try to make that all happen with our stream team as well as our podcast. If you haven't caught our stream team, all right, the BCMG stream team is kicking off 2021. Go watch their Twitch channels. They're live tonight. They're on right now. Go
Yeah.
check them out. Go follow our Twitter. We'll be putting a post out shortly with their new promo video. We are excited. But again, Taquito Express, where you can get all you can eat tacos for $7.99. Just mention ITL or BCMG now, and you can get a 10% off even that low price. Unlimited tacos, guys. Unlimited tacos. I'm gonna go eat after this. I'm already
I
hungry.
might fly down for
I'm
unlimited
starving. I'm
tacos.
starving
That
right
might be my trip.
Job, you just let me know when you're coming down. We'll meet up. All right, that ends round 2, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Let's do our sign-offs. Let's make it quick and orderly. Dre, talk to us.
Are we setting up the under-over of Ernest tacos at 20? Starting at
Oh,
20.
I am not
Taking
that
the
big
over.
of a taco eater, but if it's a challenge, yeah, that's a good mark. That's a good mark. That's a good mark. Over, under on 20 tacos. We'll actually make that a thing. We'll put money on it. Just Paul.
Yeah, you can find me at Steel Curtain PEH on Twitter. Check out all the stuff happening over at Blue Collar Media Group, bluecollarmg.com. All these guys do tremendous work. Check all their stuff out. Frostbite, The Source Pod. David's still in the break room on Saturdays. And Dre is a tremendous follow on all social media platforms. If you guys are not following him, Dre is a great follow. So definitely follow him. But that's all I got tonight, folks.
Beautiful Jet.
You can find me on Twitter at Frostbite Pod. We also have a Facebook. We recorded our most recent episode just a couple days ago. Should be up here soonish. It's up to Harrison, really. So we'll get that figured out. And I just want to say, in regards to betting, completely fade everything I do until the foreseeable future, because it's not been good. Davis is probably right about everything.
Thank you, Jet, for your candor. We appreciate you. Job.
You can find us at Source Podcast 11. That's Source Podcast 11 on Twitter. You can find us at sourcepodcast.com as well, or always at bcmg.com. We have a couple of great episodes coming up. We're hoping to get Kenny Lofton on our show pretty soon.
Whoop, whoop.
And we've got a couple of great episodes dropping this week with former Major League Baseball players, and then also a big sports attorney. I finished up recording that episode about an hour before this show. So keep an eye out. Find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook as well at The Source Podcast. We're only just getting that one off the ground, so give us a follow.
Fantastic. Congratulations to you and your show as you're growing. One of the newest BCMG podcasts, The Source Podcast. Go give them the follow, guys. It's totally worth it. All Lapsters should be watching and listening to that show. Davis Cordova, sign us off here.
Yeah, you can go follow me at ddog_1123 on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch. Jet, I was wrong tonight. I knew I should have taken Baylor minus 14 as they hit that in the first 3 minutes, as they were up 77-35, but I decided to take a team outside of my conference and Ohio State, as They only won by 4. But thanks for having me on, Ernest.
Absolutely. I just realized I took the Nets at -6, and now I'm pissed off about overtime.
Yeah,
Damn it.
I just saw
Damn
that.
it.
I just saw that. So,
Well, you know what? That's what I get. That's what I get. But let me tell you guys, I am
Exactly.
Doug
Look, I
E
took the
Future
Mavs,
PhD on Twitter.
that's what you get for taking James Harden.
It's
so.
true. I shouldn't have done it. Follow our show at Into the Lab on all social platforms, facebook.com/Into the Lab Pod or twitter.com/Into the Lab Pod, anything /Into the Lab Pod. But we are excited that you guys are joining us and being a part of our night. Listen for the podcast to come out on Friday. If you're listening to our picks, round 2, rewind, go listen to them again. If there's no injuries, it's right on point. If not, and there are some injuries, really listen, because we want to make sure you got the right picks. We'll have our parlay ready. Hopefully we hit so we can show it off. But thank you guys so much for being a part of the Labsters community. Thank you guys for being listeners. We hope you guys have a great night. It's move week officially. We'll be in a different setting next week and on. So wish me luck. Have a good night, everybody.